Anna.
I'm Ben.
We're AutoSave. Welcome to our channel.
Today we're watching Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood Season 1, Episode 9. Last episode, I had a chance to rewatch it. I think it might have been my favorite episode of the series, or maybe it's just because it's the freshest in my mind. There was something about specifically like the brother slicer dynamic of last episode that really hit with me. Like from start to finish, it didn't feel like it was only half of a 22-minute episode. It felt like it was longer and held so much more substance, like, and time than it actually did. It was so significant, and like Ed being like, oh yeah, wow, there's somebody else who had the idea of attaching a soul to a body of armor, to the backstory of the original Slicer, into incorporating it being brothers, into it being treated like humans for the first time, leading them to want to tell Ed who fucking did all this in the first place. And that just being ripped away at the end by envy and lust. And then, like, the idea about the blood seal, I would have imagined it being like, oh, the second one of the lines is interrupted. Or drawn through, like, it turns off. But it seemed more torturous and, like,
it did.
Painful than that. I loved it. And then that's only half the episode. We also had Al having this fucking life crisis of if he's real or not, or if he's just conjured manifestation that even Winry's in on.
I don't think that your current feeling that was one of the best episodes so far is unfounded or just like a recency bias thing. I think that what's happening with us finally seeing somewhat of a whole in a what has been presented as perfect and very close brotherly relationship.
Yeah.
This is the first time that we're seeing the brothers kind of be not on the same page, or one of them think they're possibly not on the same page. And I think that that's incredibly significant because not only are they young, but they're trying to do this incredibly dangerous work together. It's a very vulnerable position for them to be in. Al especially is in a very vulnerable position from what we see in the episode. We literally see a seal on an armor get undone.
Yeah.
And the person get killed.
Like, that combined with like Ed being a precious resource, right? Like it breeds so many questions because you get the idea that there's somebody else who is thinking in a similar way to Ed or was forced to. But then you have to re-question, Ed was forced to think the way that he did immediately when Al lost his soul, right? His body. Like, upon thinking about it, you're like, if Al was further gone, would you have been able to do what Ed did? Because my gut feeling is no. Like, it had to have been immediate. In the same way that I'm like, the second that the Slicer brothers were killed, were we, like, going into it like, okay, just because of longevity and the restrictions we can put on it, before I kill them, I have 2 bodies of armor set up, ready to go, kill them, immediately attach the soul to them. Because that seems more feasible than, like, reaching into the history of death, or, like, a week ago these people died, and then reattaching
wherever
them.
the afterlife is, whatever it is, can you really just go in? And, I mean, it's what we've been discussing in terms of how vulnerable is Al, actually. Like, if the seal gets disrupted, would we be able to even get him back?
Yeah.
That's, honestly, and then to lead into the who would be another person that would think this way, you know. We come in here obviously informed by other shows that we watch, from, you know, whether we try to or not. Themes seem similar sometimes. There's repetition to them in different storylines. And I gotta say that when you bring up that question of someone else was crazy enough,
does your mind go to dad?
It makes you think it's a dad.
But
it makes you think it's the dad.
See, but to, like, argue that, the dad, we don't know that the dad necessarily knows that Al is linked. Like,
well, he doesn't have to know. Just
parallel thinking, like, through bloodline. That's fair. That's fair. I don't know, though.
I can't completely cancel out that theory or idea.
Yeah, that's fair. Also, like, I want to, like, it sounds so ridiculous, but not at the same time. Like, you brought up other shows, and there are other shows that we watch that have more magic than alchemy, and God, it's so wild that in my brain it's like, oh yeah, alchemy's real. Like, it's not obviously like in the regard to this show, but in terms of like that aspect of the soul that we're talking about, when it comes to magic, I'm like, okay, it makes more sense in the magic front line that you're dead for 50 years. It's not out of the realm of possibility to go grab that soul and bring it back. But in alchemy, it's more out of the realm of possibility in my mind, and I can't explain that. That's all I have to say.
Okay.
Ready?
Yeah.
Sweet.
Seeing these clips and then seeing Al in his suit, like them as kids, and then it really,
It's
now
sad.
that we've seen the last episode, it evokes that idea of like, are these created memories that aren't even real? Like, were you ever a real person? Last episode was so significant that we get this awesome recap.
I'm so happy about it. Was that what Ed was about to say to me? Created feelings. Cool.
It's like a green screen.
In advance. True.
But it's kind of sweet. They totally talked about that before coming in this room.
The relief.
We brought up rank.
Interesting though.
Oh, so how'd they decide who got to slap who?
Yeah.
Yep.
Winry, I know you just fixed it. I love that it's in a sling. Like...
I almost died, Winry. It's cute that it's his voice.
But what it's actually like.
Ma'am.
That's so interesting. I love that, like, Winry's growing with him, you know?
Instead of a nosebleed. Yeah, it's nothing. I'm just sitting in a dark hallway that has the lights off by myself.
Don't look in the mirror.
Like, were you a toy? Oh.
God.
Winry's arrival?
Yeah. I love Winry. Seeing her in Central is kind of surreal.
He really stands out.
They called you from the hospital. to care for him.
She's gonna blame herself.
Yeah.
This relationship they have here of I never thought of it like she would feel responsible. You have to drink your milk. His shirt came off.
I was like, did I actually drink milk when I was younger, or was it just a fabricated memory? Aww.
Maybe Winry's the perfect person to like bridge the gap in terms of conversation.
But inconspicuously pulls the screw out that you forgot to put in. Don't look in the mirror.
That's never good for a character
No.
to stand over a
Damn
sink
it.
and look in the mirror.
Oh, that was cool. Oh. Use!
And again, the
He looks so cool.
just like a father.
You have no idea. There's this guy named Scar.
We're kind of in danger. Woo! I knew he would offer. You'll love them. A birthday?
Fullmetal Alchemist. Fullmetal Alchemist.
Wait, can we go back and hear that other voice line again? That was great. You brothers won't talk to me.
They trust you. Yeah.
That's fair.
You've adopted another kid.
Oh.
Jesus Christ! He is the best character.
The kids are never gonna be able to be allowed to come over to play at Hughes' house ever again.
No.
I mean, Hughes is so right to be obsessed with his family. Are you sure you aren't, like, lactose intolerant?
Damn.
本当に元の体に戻れるって保証はあるの？俺が戻してやる。信じろよ。信じろって、この空っぽの体で何を信じろって言うんだ。記憶だって突き詰めればただの情報でしかない。公的に構築することも可能なはずだ。それはもしかして僕は魂も記憶も本当は全部でっち上げた偽物だってことじゃないのかい。
Can't there are some things you have to say that you can't leave left unsaid.
ずっとそれを溜め込んでたのか。言いたいことはそれで全部か。
I mean, she even knows him too. Like,
エドが怖くて言えなかったことってのはね、あんたが自分を恨んでるんじゃないかってことよ。全部俺のせいだ。あいつ食べることも
eat or sleep.
痛みを感じることもできなくなっちまった。
All things we learn at Hughes' house.
あるはお前を恨むような子じゃないよ。聞いてみればわかるだろう。
怖いんだ。怖くて聞けないんだ。それなのにあんたたちたった二人の兄弟じゃない。追っかけなさい。駆け足。はい。
Just make sure you're receptive to them.
しばらく組手やってないから体なまってきたな。なんだ兄さん。傷口が開いちゃうよ。勝った。ずるいよ兄さん。うるせえや。勝ちは勝ちだ。思えばくったらねえことで喧嘩してたな。二段ベッドの上か下かとかね。ああ。
That's a reasonable thing to fight about.
ウィンリーをお嫁さんにするのはどっちって喧嘩した。そんなの覚えてねえぞ。僕が勝った。でも振られた。あ、そう。全部嘘だっていうのかよ。どんなことしても元の体に戻りたいって、あの気持ちも作り物だっていうのか。作り物じゃない。そうだ。絶対に二人で元に戻るって決めたんだ。前へ進んで、喧嘩も心ももっと強くなるぞ。牛乳は？
ああ。
もっともっと強くなろう。ヒューズさん、やっぱり口で言わなきゃ伝わらないこともありますよね。
兄ちゃん、シフ、みんなどこへ？
いやあ、失敬。挨拶が遅れまして。この地区の殲滅を。
Ah, this is where they met.
国家錬金術師です。
I wonder if that's how he
I
got the
wanted to see
scar.
it. I wanted to see the crimson.
That's totally how he got his scar.
そうですか。
無理すんなよ。傷だらけで下水道流れてたんだぜ。
なあ、俺の右腕はついているか？ああ、家族にもらった大切な
Interesting.
絆だ。
Okay, that was Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood Season 1, Episode 9. Holy shit. This show keeps getting so much better and better and better.
There's so much I would want to start with in terms of that.
It's not like each episode is giving me like another reason to love this show or to be like, oh my god, it's so much better. It's all cumulative. Like, and I don't know how many episodes there are.
I'm hoping like over 20. It's older.
Yeah.
So that gives me a lot more hope that it's...
But it's kind of absurd how much I love this show 9 episodes in, because with themes and stories and characters like these, I tend to think that, okay, it's going to be a journey and there's going to be a lot of growth on that journey. But if that is the case, I'm going to be blown away, because there's already been like such strong, significant characters 9 episodes in that I'm like, what more can we do with them? And that answers itself in theories, but like I love the show.
What you're bringing up there is kind of where this sits in difference to a lot of other shows. Like you brought up the journey. Like oftentimes you get a cast of characters developing their own relationships before your eyes, their own connection. You would be able to see them go through their first fights. And here we have, not only were they already strong before we met them, but they were already having an incredibly close bond. They're brothers. They've fought before. They've fought over who was in the top bunk and who was in the bottom bunk, who was going to marry Winry. They've sparred before. And we're seeing just one little example of years of knowing each other, how they handle when moments that they're off, moments that there's a fight, moments that someone's upset. This is that. I do wonder, like, this is probably maybe the biggest. I'm going to guess that this was the first time that they had a bigger issue or argument between the two of them. And I'm going to think that because of the weight of what this situation holds in the story, this is the first time there's confrontation about the bodies.
Yeah.
And the suit of armor. And that makes me feel like this is the first time they've ever kind of had a real issue that wasn't just trivial, like, bunk bed situation.
Upon thinking about this episode just now, I'm like, God, in the last 5 minutes in between Ed and Al's, like, you know, argument, or just like the unleashing of feelings, there was so much that happened that I loved that wasn't said, and I could just feel based off of like their own complexity and understanding of each other. Like, have you been fucking holding this in? Is there more that you need to say? And like the silence, what that means, it's not dissected because it doesn't need to be. And then I'm like, well, yeah, they fucking know, like, they know how good this is because Winry gets to say it again. There really are some things that get across even without saying them out loud, huh? I'm like, fuck.
It's such good writing for Ed's response to Al's feelings, to be like, have you been holding this in? Like, one of the scariest things ever is the idea that someone is just brooding over something and slowly building up to a resentment level on something with you, and you have no idea about it. And you want to be able to feel like the person you love and care about can come and express their feelings toward you. But here we really do have both brothers. They kind of done the same thing here. Like, we have Ed not telling Al what it is he wants to tell him. What we know from the flashback was that he's worried that Al will resent him. And that idea that there was something that Ed had to tell him that was not said kind of fuels Al to go down this path of developing from what he's hearing from this mass murderer, you know, like, oh, is this the secret? Is this the thing that Ed's keeping from me?
And like, it's stemming from there being something that Ed is keeping to himself as well, right? The idea of getting it out there, like, do you resent me? Like, it's so strong because it's so sad. Like, both of them have so legitimate of feelings. Like, they deserve to be feeling the way that they are, and it's only human and within them that they feel that. But you get to a frustrated level, like where Winry is, right? And it's almost because, like, yeah, both of you guys can be feeling this way, but you have to be conscientious that both of you one another can have those feelings. You only have each other. Like, you need to be able to both say these things to each other and acknowledge that. And it's like 9 episodes in, and I'm like, the dynamic between not only Ed and Al, but how much I love Winry is absurd. Like, after Winry gets brought up last episode in being part of the plan or the scheme,
Plot,
I would not have in a billion years thought that it would have been as rewarding as it was with her being in the room. Like, I wouldn't have thought that they would give that to me. And then they get her into Central, and I'm like, oh my god, that's great. But she's doing her own things, and she gets to be stepping into that room right when that happens. And I'm like, fuck, that's so good. It's so good.
They used her well as a device here. Like, obviously, it was what she would have wanted, to be able to step in that room and kind of witness. Like, it is what she wanted, selfishly probably, because she feels like they are family to her, and she wants them to be able to open up to her. The moment that she steps in that room is when she finds out how one of them feels, and the moment of vulnerability with Ed is the moment that she found out how he felt about his fear, about the resentment. Like, just when the time comes, make sure you're receptive. She was used as a great device there, where she's not the one that necessarily fixes their problems. If anything, because she knows Al, she's able to be like, bro, go after him. Like,
I love that she has, like, again, without saying it or telling us, like, the audience, and making it overly like, oh, yep, we're pointing a finger at it. There's such a contrast between her as a sister or her as a friend and her as a mechanic. And what her feelings are in either way, and how there is a subtle bridge there and where that lies. Like, it can be as severe as, like, holy shit, you got this hurt because of my fault. But then you can go the more mechanic route of, like, oh shit, I didn't finish it, I left a screw out, or like a jokey kind of like, oh shit, like I let like, there's I don't know.
Well, that's another reason why she was a great device for the episode, because in terms of my fault and feelings and kind of starting to dip into how deep this episode's going to be, they start off with what you think will be a moment of possible what could breed resentment, which is your mechanic left out a screw in your arm and you got hurt in battle, or feelings of worry where she is going to blame herself for the injuries that Ed has gotten into in the battle. But they're able to so easily kind of move through it. That was just the tip of introduction of kind of some of the themes that were going to be happening between the brothers themselves. Like, my fault with Winry, like, wasn't my fault because of the screw. And then, wasn't my fault, Ed, that my brother's like this, and is he going to resent me?
I am so, like, it makes me legitimately scared and sad if I try to theorize or think about certain, like, if I try to think about the idea of them getting their body parts and body back, it starts to make me sad, because I don't know how possible that is. Like, when you say body back, my mind goes to the body that was taken or given, and I don't think you can ever get that back. Like, you can put it in a new body, but then that body already has a soul. You can maybe, like, I don't know about arms or legs, but, like, it makes me so sad to think about, because if that's, like, that's our, like, okay, we're gonna get this fucking done, and once we get to a point that we need to examine that closer, that makes me scared. Like, obviously, the Philosopher's Stone can do amazing things, but, like, I just don't know. I don't know, man.
Some of the things that make it to be a living person, that line from Ed in the bed in the flashback, that he has made it so Al cannot eat or sleep. We have, you should be drinking your milk because you have a living body. And yeah, will that ever be possible, that Al can eat and sleep and feel things like it is to be a human ever again, other than what he deems as just information filling his soul, his brain, his soul brain. And I think that compliments to the writing with Hughes being in this episode and Hughes taking Winry to his house, because the moment that we kind of start to get that idea of what Al is capable of and what he has lost and what it might mean to be human, even in just the everyday experience, which is the first time we learn that he can't eat food, and oh, well, when I get my body back, can you make me that? And then they go into the room and Ed goes to sleep, but Al's sitting in the corner. And then within that same Hughes's house is where we get Ed wanting to tell and talk to Al, but he doesn't.
Like, it being the boiling point being over something as trivial as milk is everything. It's like, it's so perfect because it's not trivial when you have to come at it from the aspect of like, at least you fucking can do that. Like, yeah, you're allowed to hate things, but like,
right, like complaining about something that someone else in the room is not even capable of doing.
Yeah, like, and that leads to the concession of like, fine, like I'll drink, like, you know, like it's.
And in reality, if that could breed resentment.
Yeah.
That idea of complaining about something that someone isn't even able to experience, like,
man.
And I don't think that from this point on, Ed will have to watch what he says in terms of that, because I think that they've come back to a good place with each other and they have a good understanding of each other. Some things don't have to be said.
That, like, Hughes is such a great person and a great father. There are two, like, Hughes included, two great fathers I can think of in anime, Hughes and Leorio from Hunter x Hunter. Like, you can't get better.
They have similar design.
I love Hughes so much. He pulled a fucking gun on children. And
that was the best moment. I think that was one of the highlights.
I didn't think it that severe. I didn't think it that
funny.
severe. Yeah.
It was so out of pocket and so real and so great. And I was like, I feel like this is my dad. I feel like I'm watching my dad on this TV right now.
Like, I've had it rough recently. And I'm so glad that, like, I waited a bit before I started watching more of Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood, because, like, I'm having genuinely so much fun watching this, and I'm enjoying it so much. It's such a good series, and like, I'm pissed on one regard that I watched Dragon Ball Z and I watched Naruto before we had started the channel.
Agreed.
But I'm so fucking thankful that I don't know anything about Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood. And the only thing I know about it is when I made my anime list years ago and started putting shows in, it was ranked high.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it. And I am so glad that that's what I know. Mm-hmm. Good show.
Good show.
I love, I was like, why do you put the mechanical, like, arm in a sling when it's not like, you know, but then I'm like, well, why would you want dead weight? Just like,
yeah, just flopping around at your side.
That's not necessarily comfortable on your body.
Some other great moments was, why would he have made up a fake brother?
Yeah. Like
that line, but also, so we have Winry saying that to Al, like, why would he make up a fake brother? And then we have Ed being like, why, like, have you made up your feelings of wanting to get your body back?
Yeah.
Are those made up? Are those fake?
Like, in another timeline, could the trauma that Ed faced alone be so severe that you, like, as a, like, subconscious defense, create a fake brother to help you cope with the pain and, like, disassociate reality from you?
Right, it's not, like, unreal that in some other storyline I could see a character creating a fake sibling.
But because, like, you could even make that argument, even though that's not at all the case, that's what gives it so much, like, room to be real, like, in the feelings of, like, doubt.
And it's more about knowing the specific person. Like, it's not Winry saying, would a person do that? It's Winry saying, would that person do it.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that next episode we're probably going to be getting more Scar.
Was that Kimberly?
Yeah, that was totally Kimberly.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
I remember bringing up that, like, Kimberly was in a very vulnerable position with the fact that he's locked in a jail cell. And we know that Scar is hunting state alchemists. If this was a specific state, this was his ground that he was exterminating on. That means that all of the people that Scar calls out to, brother, master, were killed by Kimberly. This specific person. That means next episode, I think Scar's coming back into the storyline with fighting Roy, fighting Kimberly.
When we first got Scar waking up here, I'm like, oh, this is right after that interaction.
So
but then, like, getting to know that it's after coming across Lust and Gluttony, I'm like, oh shit, like, damn.
See, I thought this was, like, people who had escaped, you know, right after or right during the war. Not like there were people living in these slums still, these Ishvalans that were living in slums in the city.
The tattoo is wild. Depending on what they do with Scar's character, or I guess not, I wonder if anybody has this tattoo done. You know?
Someone out there.
Maybe.
Well, we'd have to know what the significance and the meaning is.
Yeah.
Probably before I would guess whether someone out there in the world has this tattoo.
All right. That's all I have.
Yeah. I'm going to leave everyone with one question. Were you a bottom bunk or top bunk person?
I never understood. I've always wished that I could have felt the, like, either side of it. I never
just didn't
gave
care?
a shit. Yeah, like, and I wish, and I'm jealous of the people who had a preference, but I never got it.
So I was picky about it because
Yeah.
I'm just like that. I was, for a specific situation, I would want the top bunk, and for a specific situation, I'd want the bottom bunk.
Okay.
When I would stay at, like, beach houses and things like that, where I felt like, what if there are going to be bugs crawling around? It wasn't my own home. Then I'd want the top bunk so it could be further away from the floor. But then in college, my roommate and I, we bunked our beds for fun my freshman year, and we made my bed into, like, a cave that we could, like, watch movies in and stuff, and, like, put blankets up all around.
One of my siblings had a bunk bed, but they didn't share the room with another person. They just had a bunk bed.
So
And
what did they use the other bed for?
probably, I'm not sure, but I do know that they did sleep on the bottom bed, and then above them they would, like, in the bars above them, where the other mattress is on top of, they would put, like, pictures of their family or friends or, like, things that they liked there.
Did
So-
they ever put, like, lights?
No.
Oh.
But on top of that bunk, they had a rock climbing wall that you would rock climb up into, like, an attic, but it was, like, completely furnished and everything. And the first time I saw that, I was like, what the fuck was my childhood? Like, that's fucking cool.
If you rock climbing, if you are out there listening to this and you have children, rock climbing
and
wall.
space and
And
money
the space
and
for
time,
it, and the
like,
money and the
I
time,
wish.
and wherever you're staying, you're allowed to drill into the walls. Rock climbing wall for
Yeah.
kids. That's such a great idea.
Yeah.
Okay,
All right.
I'm good.
Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and we hope to see you next time.